I know it defies all logic, and I know that it goes against everything we all know about good football, but Nebraska is still alive for the Big Ten Western Division Championship. Welcome to Huskers Live, right here at the Voice of College Football, and we will break down that math and others, as we've got, of course, Greg Peterson from Husker Online here, as always. Justin Adams, our post-game host, and also catch him on Cheesy Corn Sports right here on YouTube. Guys, how we doing today?
All right.
Doing good, man. Excited. Hopefully another week we can work on bowl eligibility. So, yeah, we didn't really make this easy on ourselves, did we?
No, not at all. But I'm also going to bring up the point that because you were so excited about the potential of not just postseason play, but a Big Ten West title and going to Indianapolis to face, I know you're licking your chops, Michigan, Ohio State, whoever comes out of there. I don't want you to lose that enthusiasm. So no. I'm going to do as much as I can, despite a 3-point loss against Maryland, to drum up more. I don't want to call it fake enthusiasm because it's not fake at all, but it might be ill-placed enthusiasm about Nebraska's chances to get to Indianapolis.
There's a path.
There is a path.
It's not like it doesn't look great, but there is one. So it's one of those you're telling me there's a chance moments, and we're going to dive right into that, I'm sure. So
yeah, let's do that.
Absolutely.
Why don't we do that? So Iowa's got this thing under control. They're 5-2. They've got a 2-game lead with 2 games left to play. So if they win this week, done. Yep. Should they win this week? Yeah, they should beat Illinois, but it's not a gimme. It's not a layup. They're a mere 3.5-point favorite.
Right.
So if Iowa trips up this week, and of course Nebraska's got to take care of business at Wisconsin.
Correct.
No easy task, but certainly this is about the worst Badgers team we've seen in I don't know how long.
Yeah.
20 years. Nebraska would set up the showdown at home against the team that they knocked off and out of the championship race last year. But then that would it would all depend on a lot of other business, but they would have the head-to-head against Iowa, of course.
Correct.
And you may be able to help me out from here because Minnesota obviously has the head-to-head, but the head-to-head becomes less important if there's a 3-way tie.
Correct. And there's actually the Big Ten Huddle posted a good breakdown on X, and it has how 6 different teams could still win the West. So Iowa just, of course, needs to win one of their last 2. Nebraska needs to win out. They'll also need Illinois to beat Iowa. If Minnesota wins out, Illinois has to beat Northwestern for us to get in. And then from there, it gets really complicated for Minnesota, Illinois, Wisconsin. There's 4 things they need to play out for Minnesota. Of course, they got to win out. Iowa needs to lose to Illinois, Nebraska. Northwestern needs to beat Illinois.
Okay,
so the path
already.
The path for Nebraska is actually
let's just focus
easier.
On Nebraska.
Right. Yeah. So the path for them is actually easier than Minnesota, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Northwestern, because of course Wisconsin would need Iowa to lose out. So yeah. So Altemeyer's back this week for Illinois. I don't know if that hurts or helps Nebraska with the way Altmaier's, they've been playing since he was out. And then Minnesota winning out. And then Illinois having to beat Northwestern again, needing Illinois in these instances. Their offenses looked better without Altmaier in there. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing for Nebraska. So that one remains to be seen. Where did my camera go and why did that USC logo pop up every time?
Nebraska has to win out and have Wisconsin beat Minnesota beat Wisconsin.
So they'll need to win out. Illinois needs to beat Iowa, of course, this week. That's the obvious one.
Yep.
And then if Minnesota wins out, Illinois must beat Northwestern.
Okay.
So that's the only other one, Illinois versus Northwestern, but Minnesota have to win out. So that to me is the least likely scenario. I think the best.
Well,
the
there's
most
a
likely
chance in hell that Minnesota is going to beat Ohio State this week.
So I think the easiest route is just Nebraska winning out and then Illinois losing this week. Sounds great, but it's just again, with Altemeyer, the way they've been playing with Altemeyer out at quarterback, I don't know if him coming back helps or hurts us because that offense has looked much better without him. So it's so hard to gauge that Illinois-Iowa game this week because I have no idea what that Illinois offense is going to look like.
Well, they're playing Iowa. So
yeah, exactly. So
my thought is they're not going to look good regardless of who's at quarterback. That's my best estimate.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
But their backup quarterback, John Paddock, did throw for 500 yards last weekend.
Yep. And then he led that game-winning drive when Altmaier went out the week before, came in on that long 4th and 15, converted it, and then they scored. So he's riding hot right now.
Yes. Yeah. The Nebraska offense, on the other hand, wasn't hot.
Oh, man.
Last week.
No, 5 turnovers. Good times. 3 consecutive in the fourth quarter at that.
Yeah, it's interesting to see a team that they're putting everything out there, saying that we want to be be there in the fourth quarter, and they keep on turning the ball over in the fourth quarter. It's just pathetic when you look at it, and I don't know how they fix it. Really, it's especially when you're going to Madison, a place you've never won at before, and a night game. I mean, they've been playing jump around in practice all week. So, it's going to be a tough road for Nebraska to hoe here.
Yeah. I think, what is it? To your point, we won one of the last 11, I think, or last 12.
Oh, 2000.
Yeah, in the last couple years, Martinez couldn't get it done in that overtime game in 2021, and then last year they had a deep shot there that set them up for the 1-point win. So they haven't necessarily been the biggest of losses, but however, I think stylistically, this Wisconsin team is the best matchup thus far, just because the lack of, it seems like, offensive buy-in there. I think there's some things going our way. Mordecai really called out Wisconsin's buy-in last week, or I don't remember when he said it, but he just said, I'm looking for players that, quote, give a shit, and so there seems to be a little bit of an issue with those guys buying into the new coaching staff or the new system. So maybe there's a little bit of something there, but I think stylistically there's some things that this Wisconsin team, of course, they're not the consistent Wisconsin, top 25 Wisconsin of old that we've played. So I think looking at it from the lens of the last few years when they were structured running the ball, Braylon Allen going for 250 on us, I think it's going to be very interesting. And I think it's, it's, of course, the over under 37. So it's going to be super low scoring. So
23-7 Wisconsin.
You think they're going to score 23?
Wisconsin running the air raid offense, they just don't have the receivers that Wisconsin do that.
Hey, Greg, why don't you click out and come back in?
It sounds
your audio doesn't sound like it typically does. It's like really garbled. Like really? Justin's doing a great job to hear you. I
got these big headphones on. They help.
That's weird. Nothing's changed. Here, I'll get out.
So,
yeah.
My final point on Wisconsin, and then we'll bring in Nick Snow, is I got 2 things for you. Number one is just, this team, they're not a good football team right now.
No.
And again, Wisconsin has just been a rock of stability, as you mentioned, for years and years and years. I can't think of when a Wisconsin team has been this bad.
Mm-mm.
And I'm watching all sorts of other games last weekend, and I think it was one of those deals where everybody's at halftime. So I make my way to like my 7th selection, and it's Wisconsin and Northwestern.
Right.
And I see Wisconsin scores a touchdown, and I don't know where they are in the fourth quarter. And I'm thinking, maybe they got a shot. I'll hang with this. They scored a touchdown with 10 seconds left in the game. And I thought, seriously, Wisconsin didn't score a touchdown against Northwestern until 10 seconds left in the game. That's awful.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's my final Big Ten West gem for both of you before we bring Nick in here. There was a 4-way tie for first place 2 weeks ago. Everybody was 3-2. Since then, Iowa's taken care of business, of course. The other 3 teams
Have not.
Wisconsin, Minnesota, Nebraska. They've lost 6 games. They're 0-6. Not only are they 0-6, I'm especially proud of this stat because I came up with this myself because this is how my mind works. So I'm looking at it. I'm like, these 3 teams are 0-6 the last 2 weekends. Then I start to look at who they've played: Michigan State, Maryland, Illinois, Purdue. I add up their records. Those 6 teams that those 3 teams lost to, 6 consecutive games, they're 7-29 against the rest of the Big Ten.
Crazy. It's just that all teams had positions where they should have handled it. I mean, it just we should have known when every team was 3-2 and the West was chaotic. We should have known that nothing would go to plan or nothing would play out how it should, except for, of course, Iowa taking care of business. But
yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. And of course, they pitched a shutout this past weekend.
Unbelievable.
Got Nick Snow checking in from Bucky's Fifth Quarter on SB Nation. Nick, how you doing today?
Good. Please be nice to me. My Badgers are not what they used to be.
Yeah, neither. Well, I would say we're not what we used to be, but we've been not what we used to be for a while now.
I will say
That's
this.
exactly who we've been.
Yeah.
I will say this. I really like the Matt Rule hire for Nebraska. I am a big fan of what he stands for and how he goes about operating a program. And it's funny. I was talking to some Iowa fans. I'm like, who would have been perfect if Ferentz was on his way out? Would have been a guy like Matt Rule. And they go, no, I don't like Matt Rule. I don't like Matt Rule. I'm like, I'm going to tell you what, Matt Rule is going to turn Nebraska around, and that's going to be a problem for a program like Iowa. So
yeah,
I'm impressed by Matt Rule, and I think he's going to do good things for Nebraska. So
I think both teams made great hires. Honestly, I think both teams are set up well for the future, Wisconsin and Nebraska, because I love Fickle as well.
Yeah. Hey, Nick, real quick,
go ahead.
just so we can do a little bit better here. The rest of for some reason, the same thing happened with Greg. Would you like to please click out? There's something with your audio.
Sure.
It's just like really scratchy and hollow, and I think it'll just usually a reset works.
Is mine sounding better now?
Yeah, yours is better. Sometimes StreamYard will like flip your audio to something else. So yeah, sometimes when you come out and back in, it'll correct it. Like another source of audio. Yeah.
And for you, it identifies you as somebody else.
Yeah.
One of our USC guys.
I'm Tony Altmaier. It used to be the Hawkeye of the Storm that popped up. So I'll take a USC logo over an Iowa one.
Okay.
Better?
It's about the same, but we'll stay with
Hold
it.
on a sec. Let me try something.
Hit your settings, and then go to audio, and then look at your mic settings. So settings at the bottom. And on that left side, it says audio, and then hit your look at the mic settings and see if it's the right audio source. That usually do the trick. With that, too, just while he's working on that.
Is that it? Better?
Oh, yeah, I think that's better.
Better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, cool.
Sounds better
Perfect.
to you.
Sorry
right,
about
Mike?
that, guys.
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah, you're good. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah, you're good.
So what's wrong with your football team?
All right. Sorry. Where are we at?
No, go ahead.
Why are you so
I
bad?
can't hear you guys.
How long do you have?
This is goofy.
Oh, now they
All
can't
right,
hear.
give me
I
one
can't
more
hear.
second here.
I can tell you why they're bad. No. But just
How can Braylon Allen only get 3 carries against Northwestern?
I feel like he probably will get he's got a little healthier this week. So, but I think they're going to have to really involve him in the passing game more, just because of the passing game. They've been able to pass at a consistent clip, 65% ish, for Mordecai. They haven't been able to run the ball well. So getting him, and I think getting Braylon Allen involved in the pass game is going to be really, really huge. I wish you could hear me, because I could probably tell him how to fix that too. It might have switched when he went to his audio. It might have switched to speaker.
How's
too.
that?
There we go. It sounds like you're in a wind tunnel, but
Yes.
a little better.
Just don't touch your mic.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'll be gentle. All right.
So we're going to be very blunt about this, Nick, to get you started, since we've had a bit of a rough start. And now here we go with the hardcore football analysis. Why is your team so bad?
I don't know. I really don't know right now. The transition to this air raid offense has been pretty brutal. And the lack of execution on the offensive set. Are you guys still good, or am I too much?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. The lack of execution from, everyone on the offense, if it's the O-line, if it's the tight ends, it's the wide receivers, it's the quarterbacks. It's just been a handful of issues. And it's, Fickle always comes back to, well, it's not really one thing. It's kind of everything. And all of these things are adding up to a really bad football team right now. Our offensive line has historically been very, very good. It's been the foundation of the program, and they have not lived up to that hype for the last 3 years, probably. Our running backs banged up right now. I think you guys may remember we started the year with Braylon Allen and Ches Malusi, which was one of the better duos in the Big Ten. Definitely rivaled what Michigan had going in Corum and Edwards, but it has completely fallen apart. Ches Malusi he broke his tibia against Purdue, and then Braylon Allen's been beat up. This has been a problem every year for him. He gets beat up this time of year. He went out against Ohio State in the third quarter, and he never came back. And then he played a couple of snaps last week against Northwestern to start the game, and they pulled him right away. And it was Jackson Aker and Cade Yakimelli playing. So that's who you'll probably see most of the time on Saturday is Cade Yakimelli and Jackson Aker. Yakimelli's more of the change of pace back. Jackson Aker's probably more of the Braylon Allen mold. I wouldn't be surprised if Allen got some touches, but I would say it's going to be closer to 10 than it is to 20 for him this week. So I have to assume, since he was almost healthy last week, healthy enough for 4 touches last week or whatever it was, I assume that he'll be healthy enough to play a few more this week, but we'll see. But there's just not a lot of execution right now. And, with a beat up running back room, we've relied a lot on the pass, and the passing offense, which is supposed to be the now featured part of the offense, has been lackluster at best. So.
Yeah. Just a quick question on Braylon Allen, because I mentioned this when you popped out for a second. With him getting a little healthier, do you think? Because I think a key will be involving him a little bit in the passing game as well. Do you think they're gonna try to involve him a little bit more in the passing game, or do you think they're just gonna kind of try to use his touches for certain situational things and run him?
Man, I mean, I'm still getting used to this offense. And with a lot of what they've tried to do is his touches are passes as well, and they'll swing him out wide. It's just, when the play developed, it's so predictable, and the problem with Braylon Allen is, he's powerful and he's strong, but he doesn't have the change of pace speed to get outside the numbers and really cause some havoc, and so sometimes he'll get 3 yards on some of those swing screen passes, and sometimes he'll lose 3 yards. It just, again, this offense is just not very good. And that's kind of why I'm leaning towards picking Nebraska this week, because I'm just not sure this team is built to win in the Big Ten West as it is right now. They don't execute on the offensive side of the ball, get their 3 to 4 yards on their short passing plays, or hit a couple of deep balls. They're behind the sticks, and before you know it, 3rd and 10. This is not where this team should live, and they're there way too often.
One thing though about Wisconsin's offense, I feel like the things that y'all do well are what we don't do well, because pretty consistent quarterback play, are pretty good at sustaining drives, don't turn the ball over a ton. But so do you think, for instance, I think the Nebraska's turnovers, are three of our losses, Minnesota, Colorado, and Michigan State. We had -3 in the turnover margin, Maryland -2. So with that, does part of you think Wisconsin might have an advantage in that regard? Because of course the turnovers are way more crippling than, the way that y'all haven't been finishing drives, but still been able to complete 65%, and sustain drives for the most part. Do you think that, with y'all's offensive struggles and our offensive struggles, because I feel like ours have been a little bit more drastic, do you think that the defensive matchup is going to be the difference there, or why you're leaning towards Nebraska in that? Because I'm almost leaning towards Wisconsin in a way because of the turnovers.
Yeah, well, I'll say this: Wisconsin hasn't forced many turnovers this year.
Yeah.
It's been one of their big issues is that they've, in the past under Jimmy Leonard's defense, there was a lot of turnovers and kind of a ball hawking secondary, and they were able to get off the field because they were able to pressure the quarterback, and they can't do that this year.
Yeah.
So there's just I'm gonna go out on the limb and say that Nebraska's QB, whoever is playing, I've seen 3 different names this week that could all be playing. They're gonna have time to do what they need to do because of Wisconsin's lack of pass rush, and because of that, I would be surprised if Wisconsin won the turnover battle. I feel like if you give any quarterback any time at all, they're able to pick holes in this defense that's not really built for the scheme they're playing in right now.
You don't have to worry about forcing turnovers.
Yeah.
Nebraska.
We'll give you some.
Give it to you.
Hey, this is the Big Ten West, and one of the reasons why I love the way it is because there's gross football all the time, and I'm excited about this game. I think it'll be good. I hope it's not as ugly as it was last week for Wisconsin against Northwestern.
It will be.
It seems like whenever Nebraska and Wisconsin play, it is a good game. I mean, outside of the Big Ten championship game and 2012, the series has normally been, at least the games have normally been close. I'll say Wisconsin definitely has the nod on the series, but the games are normally pretty close. So
especially the last couple of years, like I mentioned before, you had the Adrian Martinez couldn't finish 2021, and then last year that big play to set y'all up to win it, albeit maybe some pass interferences missed in those games at the very, very end, but I digress.
Wisconsin's gotten their fair share of lucky calls in recent years. I will say that.
But yeah, the thing with that is just like you said, the games have been close, and I just feel like stylistically, this might be the best matchup for Nebraska as far as, but the team, the way Wisconsin isn't structured like they usually are and stuff like that, like we mentioned before. However, this is also one of the worst Nebraska offenses and quarterback rooms I've seen, I don't know, maybe ever. So it's going to be really interesting and probably really ugly because we have a way of bringing teams into ugly dog fights.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I've watched a few Nebraska games this year, and I know that they tend to run the ball a little bit more than they have in the past, but I'm interested to see what happens if it's just Jeff Sims back there. I think that quarterback mobility does provide a little bit of an X factor at times. And Wisconsin, same thing. Mordecai can do that too. He, has to protect his hands, his throwing hand now because that got hurt against Iowa. But, it'll be interesting to see who is more effective, passing the ball and running the ball for sure. I don't think Wisconsin's rush offense is very good, and their passing offense is lackluster. So I really think that if Nebraska can just, take seconds off the clock by running the ball and being slow to the line and, kind of the Iowa method, they're going to win the game. Especially with how fast Wisconsin goes 3 and out, man. I mean, it is because of this air raid offense. Every play happens within, 20 seconds of each other, right? It's not the old school run the ball and let this clock tick down to 5 seconds and then run the next play anymore. This is so different. And I think if you haven't, as a Nebraska fan, watched Wisconsin yet this year, you're going to ask, what in the hell is going on over there in Madison?
Yeah, it seems to be the short to intermediate pass game that kind of works. But 86 passes from Mordecai over the last 2 weeks is kind of crazy.
It's just not. It's not winning ball in Big Ten West. And I'll say this: we have a couple of receivers that can definitely break open the game. Will Pauling is one of them. He's more of a slot wide receiver, and Bryson Green, an Oklahoma State transfer from last year, and Will Pauling's from Cincinnati. Both those guys can definitely break open the game, but it's been a problem them creating separation. So you'll see a lot of Will Pauling, and he'll probably be the primary receiver on Saturday, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and on Nebraska's side, we won't know who's starting quarterback until game time. So
Yeah, and who are you thinking at this point? I mean,
well, Heinrich Harburg, hurt his ankle last week, but he's
sure.
On the mend. He's going to be practicing fully tomorrow. Sims is probably the most healthy. Chubba Purdy's been dealing with a groin most of the season.
Got it.
Chubba Purdy looked the best out of all three from last week.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep, he did. And
yeah. Go ahead.
He can move. He can move as well. People underestimate that.
I mean, he moved the offense down 90 yards in a flash, and if it wasn't for a blown route, they probably would have scored a touchdown.
That's been the talk of the week. That's been the talk of the week is that play.
Hey, I'm more. I mean, I know this game matters a little bit in the Big Ten West positioning, and I've read a couple scenarios. Now, my understanding is that if Nebraska wins and then wins next week with an Iowa loss on Saturday, Nebraska would go to the Big Ten championship game.
Correct.
If Illinois wins and wins next week and Wisconsin loses, I guess it doesn't really matter. If Illinois goes 5-4, so Nebraska would have to lose this week.
Yep.
And then Illinois would have to win Saturday and next week, right? So
for Wisconsin, they have to win out. Iowa needs to lose out, and then Illinois needs to beat Northwestern.
Yeah. It's that. I know there's a scenario, but I'm going to tell you what. I don't really want to see Wisconsin in this form against Michigan in the big, because I think Michigan's going to end up being there. I really do. And I have a feeling. I did watch that Nebraska-Michigan game, at least the first half earlier in the year. Oh, buddy, I'm sorry. That is tough. And it was just it's tough. They're
not cheating no more though. So
I don't want to get Mark started. I know there's been some. I've watched all the videos of Mark and on his Michigan soapbox. So, but yeah, I don't really want to see Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game, but boy, oh boy, I got some Iowa fans that I'd love to get, all wound up about it if they somehow back their way into this deal. So I'm most focused for Wisconsin on the Axe next week, because that, for whatever reason, PJ Fleck has been a big pain in the butt for Wisconsin the past 5 years.
Hey, did any of the Wisconsin players even know that this is a trophy game? And do they know the name of the trophy?
I think there's always this big joke that goes around on the Wisconsin fan base, and in particular, I believe it's Zach Heilprin. He's one of the beat writers for Wisconsin, and he always tweets out every year. He's like, there was a year where Wisconsin didn't even go grab the trophy after they had won it. So yeah, this is essentially the Barry Alvarez Bowl, if anyone even knows that. And I don't know. It's
you around here.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I would love for this to be a little bit more competitive. I guess this is the year for Nebraska. I thought last year, I guess, could have been the year too, but this is another opportunity for Nebraska. Wisconsin is not the Wisconsin of old right now.
Well, nobody around here even knows what that trophy even looks like, because we've never had it. So we asked a lot of the players that same question Tuesday, and not one of them could have named the trophy.
I'm trying to remember when was the trophy actually, because there was that year that Nebraska beat Wisconsin in Nebraska when they were wearing those weird uniforms.
Yeah, that trophy wasn't around then.
Okay, yeah, so it was right after that then, or sometime.
I think it was like 2014 or 15, something like that.
Were you guys surprised that Wisconsin and Nebraska weren't serve as rivals or protected rivals moving forward? Or
look,
I would have preferred it for sure.
Yeah.
Look at Mark go. There you go.
Hey, that's what it looks like.
Freedom Trophy. Yeah, I think it's at 2012.
Is that what it says?
Wait.
Freedom Trophy.
It's 12-4, so whatever that gets us to. It was started in 2012, I think. Yeah. Well, maybe that's just a Wisconsin rivalry. It's interesting. That's
started after Nebraska beat Wisconsin in 2012.
Yeah, and that's why I think
Conveniently.
Matt Rule mentioned like those players don't know what it is because they were all like 12 at the time or whatever they would be.
Yeah.
So the thing about Nebraska, if we win the Big Ten West, I'm cool getting killed in the championship because we can then say like we're forever Big Ten West champions. So like
Just like the Gophers, huh?
I'll take
the
that
Gophers. Do you guys know this joke that the Gophers, they tied Wisconsin for the Big Ten West in 2019, and PJ Fleck got rings made that literally said Big Ten West champions, even though Wisconsin had literally beaten them in the final game to go to Indy, and they beat them by like, I want to say it was 20 plus points. I was at the game.
You're not the champs.
I blame
you.
You
Got to go to the championship game.
Thank you.
I blame UCF for that.
I'd be real proud to be wearing that ring. Jeez.
Yeah, that's the Gopher way. Unfortunately, I live in their territory, so this game matters more to me. But again, I'll digress. Nebraska, Wisconsin. I got Nebraska narrowly on Saturday. Okay, I'm gonna say that I don't see the Badgers coming with any offense. So that's and they've only scored, like, if you look at their past 5 Big Ten games, they've only scored like 10 points. They scored 18 in the fourth quarter against Illinois a couple weeks ago, and they've only scored over the past 4 games since it's only been 10 or it's only been like 40 total points. And so it's anemic, and I think Nebraska's defense is good enough to make this a tough game for Wisconsin.
Why I'm surprised, Nick. Why I'm surprised, Nick, at Wisconsin being this bad is I totally understand. And like you said off the top, Nebraska's awful on offense as well. They've played ugly football, but I think Matt Rule was a tremendous hire. I think Luke Fickell, the same thing. This is not causing me any concern for either program long term. But the conventional thought was Wisconsin's going to stumble out of the gate. They're going to have their issues out of the gate working through this offense, new quarterback, new coordinator, new head coach, all of that. And they're just going to get better and better and better and better throughout the season. And Luke Fickell's had that track record as well as a head coach. His teams just get better and better. And the Washington State game, for as good as they looked, which they don't look that good now either, but at the time, Washington State was really good, that loss was understandable. They turned the ball over all over the place. Otherwise, they were in that game, 2-point game, 5 minutes left. So they played fairly well on the West Coast. They start their Big Ten play. Again, not a juggernaut, not a vintage Wisconsin team, but playing fairly well. They hit the Iowa game. And, the last time I saw Wisconsin play was the Ohio State game. And so they're playing one of the best teams in the country. They held up rather well. They looked capable. And so then these last
victory week.
Yes, these last few games, I was like, what in the world's happened to this team? And I know Tanner Mordecai knocked out against Iowa and Braylon Allen banged up, but still in previous iterations of Wisconsin, that front 7 on defense and that offensive line would have taken care of skill position injuries to carry the team.
2 quick things, and then I'm going to hop off. But I'll say this, Mark. This is what I really think is part of the problem. Okay, first off, there's a lack of playmakers on the defensive side of the ball this year. And it's noticeable. There is no Keanu Benton. There is no Nick Herbig. There's no pass rush. It's a big part of the problem, except there is one guy who I would say is going to pop out to any fan who watches Wisconsin. It's going to be Hunter Waller. He's a safety. He plays this rover-like position where it's a hybrid linebacker and safety. He's all over the field. He makes tons of plays. Okay. And then the other part of this is, and again, missing from that, this is a defensive side of the ball problem. This is an offensive side of the ball problem. But I think there's some deep-rooted culture issues that have been brewing for a number of years at Wisconsin. And when I say culture issues, this is what I'm going to try to point towards, or at least this is my hypothesis. Things went sour underneath Christ. And, they had these incredible recruiting classes for Wisconsin. And they were 2019, 2020, and 2021. There's some of the best recruiting classes Wisconsin's ever put together. And I think almost the culture issue is almost a sense of entitlement. That Wisconsin's always in the top 25 going into the year. They're always one of the favorites in the Big Ten West. It's almost automatic, and it doesn't feel like this program has had to earn much recently. And it's started to show up on the field in a bad way. And especially this year. And I think Fickell echoes that when has been talking about in his press conferences and stuff that it's his biggest challenge to date, bigger than Cincinnati, bigger than taking over at Ohio State briefly. He said that this is his biggest challenge because I think there's an entitlement problem within the program, and they need to weed out the guys who aren't willing to put in the effort and have the right mentality going into Saturdays. So that's
is that what Mordecai was alluding to when he was talking about players giving him, shit?
Yeah. He said the exact same thing, right? Waller said the same thing too. He said, we need to weed out these guys who aren't ready to be on the field on Saturdays. And Mordecai, the 6-year senior, who's a half foot, is still in the door, but the rest of the body is outside. He's really he came here to win, and all he's done is nothing really in the Big Ten West this year. So it's a jarring place to be as a program, and Fickell's going to have a lot of guys who exit this offseason, and I'm guessing he'll have a lot of guys who enter via the transfer portal. And this is a couple-year outlook. I don't think you'll see the same Wisconsin for a couple years. I think year 3 of Fickell is kind of circle. Maybe sometime around there you start to see the program trend in the right direction. But until then, this is going to be hard.
I'm fascinated with that narrative because the ultimate non-entitlement program, the one that was built on we're not entitled, we work harder than everyone, then after 25 years of that, sure, you could see that where, we always get the job done. We're always, a top 15 program.
Teams are passing them. It's Minnesota. Obviously Iowa. Wisconsin had dominated the better part of the decade against Iowa from 2020, I want to say 2008 or 2009 through 3 years ago. Wisconsin had been the better team and the better program. That's gone away. And I think Northwestern had again, in a bad year for Northwestern, Northwestern looks head and shoulders above Wisconsin. Minnesota has taken care of business against Wisconsin. No offense, but the only program who hasn't has really been Nebraska. So that's why I anticipate a change this week. And I really think this program's headed for a couple of down years, and then maybe we'll start to see the Fickell effect in year 2 or 3.
Interesting.
The ceiling for y'all is much higher than those teams, though. So that's also, it's
we'll
a transition year. So I believe the ceiling for recruiting and everything's much better for Wisconsin, especially running backs with their history of putting running backs in the NFL. So I do think, after a couple of years, I think Minnesota and those teams are kind of at or near their ceiling.
Nick Snow, Bucky's fifth quarter. Nick, we so much appreciate you stopping by. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. You guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the college football and go Badgers.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Audio going on today.
What happened?
You cut out.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you did.
That was weird.
That's why I picked it up.
Sorry about that.
I didn't know if you were still talking, but you just cut out.
StreamYard, man.
It's weird.
Doing us dirty today. Yeah. What's been really interesting about Wisconsin is just one thing that does give me pause is their defense has been, overall, it's a top 35 defense. And they've done it more so by stopping the run than the pass. So I'm wondering almost too, and Greg, you might be able to help me out on this, Chubba being the superior passer, is it almost a matchup thing where it'd be better to give Chubba a chance in there because clearly they're much better at stopping the run?
I think so. I mean, clearly he showed that he was ready to go last week. And I mean, the other two quarterbacks just can't keep control of the ball. So, I mean, that's why I think that, you kind of go after that matchup there. And you got fast receivers on the outside that you can take advantage of.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, that's what I want to see.
Especially with Wisconsin's tackling. It's been pretty bad over the couple weeks from what I've seen. So I think getting Billy Kemp and getting him a Johnson and even Malachi Coleman in space is going to be the key in this. Just short, again, what worked for us in those flashes of our offense was short to intermediate pass game, setting up the run. Seems like we've gone away from that, but yeah, I think that's going to be key this week, is just taking advantage of that disconnect on the defense and whatever's leading to the poor tackling lately, just trying to, take big advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
So Emmett Johnson's looked great too, but
yeah, he did. He has.
Yes, Mark.
I don't know how Wisconsin's going to score in this game. I just don't know that they're going to score much.
Yeah,
Believe it.
Either one is, but certainly Wisconsin.
It only takes a fumble in the red zone by Nebraska.
Yeah, Nebraska's defense have been. They did a good job last week of.
You keep asking them to bail you out like that.
Yeah,
I mean, they played their tails off. Yeah,
they got that 4th and 1 stop after we fumbled it in their territory.
Yeah, and it's when you're there, and you're just expecting them to turn the ball over now.
Yeah,
and put your defense in harm's way.
Yeah,
but it's just as the season's gone on, this has just gotten worse and worse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just bizarre.
It is. It's super frustrating, but Wisconsin's given up. Something's got to give, because Wisconsin's given up over 20 points the last month, and I don't think Nebraska can score 20 points over the last. Well, we might be able to score right on 20, but we still lose. But
yeah.
So something's got to give there.
I hope Christian Alvano shows up.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope he gets an opportunity and we're not throwing interceptions when we get down at the 5-yard line either. Haven't beat Wisconsin in Madison since 1966. That's a depressing.
So maybe a Chubba Purdy game here.
Yeah, we're actually rolling four QBs out there. I think what was Luke Longval. That's it.
Yeah.
As so they're rolling 4 QBs out there as depth.
Well, he's going to give the signals and hold the clipboard. So
yeah, and just if everybody gets injured, hopefully not. But everybody's banged up, so who knows? But yeah, Chubba probably is the guy. I'm with Greg on that. He looked better in that drive. That interception, to me, still, we should have ran the ball there. It should have never been throwing. That play was broken from the start. It was just they ran this little concept where the X and the Y, there were trips left, X and Y, ran this little 3 yards, contact the defenders, and then cut in. And then Billy Kemp ran a little corner route, but didn't run it deep enough. So Malachi Coleman's man just peeled right off of that,
brought him right
in Purdy's eyes, and he peeled right off of that and just went right to him. So, but I just think we should never been passing there. That whole final drive there, where we had that interception, we pass on from the 6-yard line, we passed on 1st and goal, a little run up the middle on 2nd and goal, and then that pass on 3rd and goal. In a 10-10 game, I think game script shows that you got to take the points there. But
that was right in front of me too, and you could feel that they were going to throw the ball there the whole time. So I wasn't surprised about that at all.
Yeah, and then I'm sure
it literally, it happened right in front of me. I was in the back of the end zone. So.
And you've been at these games enough to know that, like, as soon as that happened, you're like, they're about to win this game. Maryland's about to go win.
Yeah, absolutely. You already knew it was over. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it was pretty funny too, because, I went and got my backpack with about 3 minutes left, and switched ends to go down, to go to the media room after the game. And all the writers come down from the press box there, with like 5 minutes left in the game. And my boss comes walking over next to me, and he's like, if they make this kick, I'm leaving. I'm like, yeah, I'm with you. I'm not, I don't even want to shoot these guys coming off of the field. And stuff. So as soon as that thing went through, we just turned and tail and went up through the tunnel, way ahead of the team. So
all I feel is pain in that moment. Yeah, I don't blame you one bit. It is good news though. Is Buford's back in the starting lineup. Quinn Newsome and Hartzog are practicing, so the defense should be healthy and ready to go. So
yeah, I think the defense will come out and perform well.
Yeah.
the way that they have been, there's no letdown there.
Mm-mm. As long as they keep tackling solid, I think that's going to be the key to winning this game is just keeping everything in front of them, tackling and not letting them break a big play, or turn the ball over in their territory, because I think that's the only way they get points.
Well, I mean, Tungo Vailoa is a really good quarterback.
He is.
They kept him in check. I mean, it was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, I think he had like 286 and a touchdown or so. But yeah, it was very, very good, because we had talked about it before, just him being a dynamic quarterback. We have struggled in previous years with dynamic quarterbacks, so I was really impressed there. And with him not being able to beat us deep with that dynamic offense, I don't necessarily think Mordecai will be able to. He's just going to have to stick to that dink and dunk, which is why tackling is just going to be, just do what we do and keep sound tackling. In Wisconsin's not going to be able to score many points.
Yeah. Run the ball and hang on to the football on offense.
Hang on.
Just run the ball.
Just
doing
this. Do not.
Yeah.
Which they are. But to Greg's point about the last interception, wow, you go 90 yards.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It was funny too, because you could just tell. I mean, all of us on the sidelines were like, got to put Chubba Purdy in there.
Yeah.
As soon as they did, all the students just do the Chubba chant.
Yep.
And boy,
cool.
just totally kickstarted that offense.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah. It was fun to see him go down there that quick. And yeah, I hated to see how that drive ended, but he looked really good out there. The run game looked solid on that drive as well. So there's a recipe there, and I don't think they're going to simplify the playbook. I think they're going to keep everything as it is and see what he's got. So hopefully he can give us a little juice for this last couple games here, and maybe we have a potential quarterback going into next year, but we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't have to tell you guys, and I know I'm throwing salt in the wound, but there are quarterbacks out there that go hundreds and hundreds of pass attempts without throwing a pick. I think Drew Aller of Penn State's got one pick. He's he's not a freshman, but this is his first starting season.
Yep.
Sims throws 13 balls and 2 of them get picked off, and Purdy throws 3 and 1 gets picked off, and Harburg throws 5 and 1 gets picked off. That's crazy. 21 attempts and 4 picks.
That's crazy.
Harburg had 2.
Yeah, and one of Sims's interceptions.
Harburg had 2?
Yeah. They had 5 interceptions.
The box score is showing 1.
I think, did Sims have 2? I think Sims had 2.
Sims 2.
Sure.
I know one of Sims's. Then the problem with Sims is he's staring down the receiver he's going for, because in a crossing pattern, right? The Texans used to run this a lot with Will Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins, where you have deep crossers, right? And the whole point of the deep crossers is cause confusion in the deep secondary and try to get one of those men free. Well, from the back angle watching it, Sims stares Billy Kemp down. So when his man comes free on the crosser, 3 people are with Kemp, but he's already throwing right out of Kemp's break. And I mean, he doesn't even throw it to him. He throws it over him. Sims is just he's not there and processing the game enough to be able to look defenders off, even though Maryland, their secondary wasn't good at forcing a lot of turnovers. They made that a focus coming into that week, but he played right in their hands, just looking the receivers down and made it so easy for them. And I think that's where Chubba is going to be better, is because Chubba, being a better passer, he can kind of go through his progressions a little better. He's going to be pass first, run second. So the Sims interceptions were so bad. It was really bad.
Husker Chuck says that one of Harburg's was called back.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. You're right. Okay.
They could have thrown 5.
Yeah.
And, Purdy's.
That's right. Yeah. And that bailed him out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think he went over to the sideline, and Matt Rule was like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
You got lucky there. You got bailed out.
Yep. Yeah, because it doesn't take the fact away from the fact that he threw it, man. We'd had 6. Jeez. Fun times. But yeah, Purdy's again. I know the arguments about, and I get what, somebody in the chat respectfully disagreed, and I totally see their point. With that play, right? I don't disagree with that play call in that situation. And I do think when that play was run, that is on Purdy. However, I just don't think that play should have been the call there. I think situationally, game script wise, you have to run the ball there, and that's my point. I think those two things are mutually exclusive, or not mutually exclusive. Sorry.
Yep.
So.
All right, folks. Any other comments or questions from the chat?
Just know there's still a chance, guys. We still got a bowl game possibility. We just need to be really big Illinois fans this week.
Well, wait a minute. Illinois has nothing to do with the bowl game.
I mean, I'm sorry.
But the Big Ten, the Big Ten title.
No, our Big Ten title. I'm sorry, Illinois
Yeah.
beat. Yeah, that's more so what I'm talking about. Well, maybe a Freudian slip here, and I'm assuming that we have a better chance of making a bowl game than we do in the Big Ten West. So
I have nothing against Iowa. Certainly, we've got an Iowa channel, Iowa show.
Yep.
I am very impressed with the way they conduct their program and win games the way they do. But I just want chaos the last weekend, so I want them to lose, and I want chaos.
you're going to get it.
The
It's the Big
final
Ten West.
weekend.
It's the Big Ten West in 2023. You're going to get chaos.
I don't know about that. I think they're going to take care of business, and that's going to be that. But I want chaos. I want the last weekend just to be like, oh, who's going to win? Who's going to win? And then Nebraska is going to have to take care of business. That's right, because it's on a Friday for there to be chaos on Saturday for it still to be just like, what's going to happen?
Nothing's better than playing spoiler to Iowa. You know, we saw how that worked last year, and that was our Super Bowl. That was our national championship right there.
Unfortunately, Nebraska gets kind of the shaft here. I mean, having to play a night game in Madison and turning around and playing on Friday morning, you're losing a couple of days of your recovery time. So you're not going to get back until middle of the night, Saturday night. So
that might be a 3-0 Iowa win. To be completely honest, Nebraska versus Iowa. This weekend might be that score.
Yeah.
So this is the night game. Okay.
Yeah, 5:30. Well, Mountain Time. I'm Mountain Time, so 5:30. So that'd be what, 6:30 Central.
30 Central.
Yeah.
Prime
Okay.
time.
So this must be an NBC game, right?
Coach talked about being on prime time. Yeah. So NBC. So.
Okay.
But that's also a big opportunity for Nebraska to go out there and showcase something. But
he said that's what he wants, recruits to be able to watch, on a national televised game and say, I want to come play on that defense,
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if we're like the opposite of Kirk Cousins and we just play really good in prime time and just not good any other time. That's what I'm hoping for, at least.
Yeah, they won a primetime game in Illinois, so.
Yep. We'll see.
And this one will probably be just as ugly as that one.
Probably.
Oh, yeah. There's Nebraska and ugly go hand in hand.
Yep.
All right. Appreciate everyone being here at the Voice of College Football, our Nebraska show that we bring you each and every, I don't know what we're going to do about next week. You guys will have to let me know. So subscribe, turn on the bell for the notifications to know when we go live. And between Justin, Greg, and I, we will figure out what we're going to do next week to set up the Iowa game.
Yep.
All right. Good stuff. Check out Justin's work, Cheesy Corn Sports.
Yes,
What's
sir.
going on over there?
Yeah, so we're doing our first Friday stream this Friday. So we're going into, just some storyline stuff, CJ Stroud, MVP conversation, stuff like that. And then Sundays, 2 hours before the game, as always, fantasy football, answering lineup questions, start sits, giving our rankings, and having call-ins and just, hanging out, talking football. So if you're interested in that, if that interests you, then, head on over there and just come hang out with us.
Sweet.
And same on the post games. We just kind of hang out and go over the games and talk on talking points and get involved with commenters. So hop on there with me after the game as well, so we can vent our frustrations or celebrate together.
After the game, everyone, right here with Justin.
Yep.
Greg, what are you working on this week?
My tan.
Okay. Is it that nice out?
It's been in the 70s.
Okay.
That's nice.
66 for a high today, but yeah. No, it's time to actually do the leaves. The leaves finally fell off the trees. So
I've already done the leaves and it doesn't even look like I've done them. So I'm going to have to do them again.
Come to Arizona, you don't have to deal with leaves.
No leaves, and no snow.
No.
But the 117 for about 3 months in a row,
Yeah,
I don't know that I could handle that.
Yeah, that's
What's the temp right now?
it's not worth it. Right now it's really overcast. I think it sprinkled last night, so it's probably in the 80s maybe. So it's maybe
Perfect.
maybe 80s. It's pretty good. Yeah. Oh, actually it's 75 now. Cloudy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll take a break from the sun.
No, with I'm pretty much done with work for the week myself. So
Nice.
all I gotta do is cut our Friday forecast feature tomorrow morning, and no high school football this week. The finals are on Monday and Tuesday around here. So
Greg getting a week off, man. It's nice.
yeah,
Well deserved.
maybe sleep in for a change.
Yeah. Well deserved.
Very cool. All right, folks, make it on back next week. And again, you're going to have to keep those notifications on to know when we are going live with our show next week. But we will see you then.
Peace.
See you
Enjoy
later.
the weekend.